Have you been thinking about getting remarried? Maybe you've met someone kind, someone comforting, someone who makes the quiet evenings feel a little less lonely. But even as the idea starts to bloom in your heart, there's this soft, quiet instinct inside you whispering, wait. That instinct might be wiser than you think. You see, remarriage after 70 isn't the same as falling in love at 30. At this stage in life, love carries a different weight. It's not about building a future from scratch. It's about carefully merging two entire histories, each one filled with its own routines, relationships, finances, family, and yes, even old grief. Bringing someone new into your life now doesn't just shift your emotional world. It can touch everything from your legal documents to your legacy. It can stir up feelings in your children, change how your assets are protected, and awaken parts of yourself you haven't visited in years. This video isn't here to scare you. It's here to give you clarity. Because love in later life can be beautiful, but only when it's guided by truth. In the next few minutes, we'll walk through 5 deeply important truths every person over 70 should consider before remarrying. And I promise, the 5th truth is one that most people never think about until it's too late. So, whether you're in a relationship considering remarriage, or just reflecting on what you want in this next chapter, stay with me. Let's begin this journey together, not to stop you from loving again, but to help you love more wisely, more peacefully, and more completely than ever before. 1. The legal and financial fallout no one talks about. Love may be emotional, but marriage is also a legal contract. And after 70, that contract can quietly reshape your entire financial world in ways most people don't realize until it's too late. When you remarry later in life, you're not just combining hearts, you're combining legal histories, benefit entitlements, estate plans, and decades of financial decisions. And unless you're prepared, what seems like a simple yes can trigger a domino effect through your taxes, retirement accounts, Social Security, and inheritance plans. Let's start with a big one. Social Security. If you're receiving survivor benefits from a late spouse, remarriage can disqualify you from continuing to receive them. That's not always a deal breaker, but it is a surprise many don't expect. If those monthly checks are part of your current financial security, you need to speak with a Social Security advisor before signing any marriage documents. Then there's your pension. Some employer pensions, especially from military or government service, were designed to support one surviving spouse. That means a remarriage could cancel the benefits you've been receiving, or unintentionally transfer those benefits to a new partner, even if that's not what you intended. And what about your will or trust? Most people assume that their adult children will inherit their estate the way it's written, but remarriage can override older documents. If you don't update your legal paperwork to reflect your new relationship, your new spouse may legally inherit assets you intended for your children or grandchildren. This isn't because your love is misplaced. It's because the law follows what's current, not what's assumed. Carl, a 76-year-old widower I once worked with, had been living comfortably on his late wife's pension and Social Security benefits. When he remarried, he didn't think to check how that would affect things. Within a year, his pension payments were redirected to his new wife's name, which seemed fine at first. But after Carl passed away unexpectedly, his adult children were shocked to find that the bulk of his income and property had gone to a woman they barely knew. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't malicious. It was just paperwork and taxes. You might think filing jointly with a new spouse would save money, and sometimes it does. But if you both have retirement distributions, rental income, or capital gains, Your combined income could push you into a higher tax bracket, disqualify you from certain benefits, or reduce your Medicare subsidies. It's not about having too much. It's about understanding the consequences of merging finances this late in life. The truth is this: love at 70 is just as valid and worthy as love at any age. But it must be built with clear eyes and solid paperwork. Before you remarry, sit down with a financial advisor and an estate planning attorney, not for approval, but for clarity. Review your assets. Understand the benefits you stand to keep or lose. Revisit your will, your health proxy, and your power of attorney. Make sure your decisions reflect your current reality, not your past assumptions. Because at this stage in life, protecting your peace means protecting your plan. Love doesn't cancel the need for wisdom. In fact, it demands more of it. And the couples who last, who thrive, are the ones who walk into love not blindly, but bravely, with their hearts open and their legal affairs in order. 2. Emotional needs that quietly change with age. At this point in life, you've weathered storms, celebrated milestones, and built an inner world that is rich with memory and meaning. So, when love comes knocking again, it's natural to feel both excited and uncertain. But here's something many don't talk about. Your emotional needs have likely evolved in ways that younger people may not understand. The kind of partnership you once sought, full of shared ambition, daily problem solving, or raising a family, might not be what your heart truly needs now. This stage of life calls for something quieter but no less profound. Companionship that respects solitude, connection without overdependence, emotional support that feels like a calm harbor, not a tug of war. For some, this means craving laughter over logistics, conversation over control, and someone who understands that silence can be sacred, not a sign that something is wrong. And if you don't take the time to clarify these emotional shifts before remarriage, you risk stepping into an old mold that no longer fits. I once knew a 74-year-old woman named Louise who remarried after 10 years of living independently following her husband's death. At first, she was thrilled to have company again, to share meals, stories, and the small routines of life. But slowly, she began to feel crowded, not physically, but emotionally. Her new partner expected constant attention. He wanted to be part of every decision, every errand, every phone call. It wasn't malicious. It was his version of love. But for Louise, it was exhausting. She had gotten used to her freedom, her independence, her morning coffee in silence. What she wanted was connection, not codependency. If you're contemplating remarriage, ask yourself, do I want someone to walk beside me, or someone who wants to steer? Do I want to be needed, or simply cherished? There's no shame in needing less, or needing differently than you once did. And if both people can name their emotional truths without guilt or pretense, then the love that follows has a far better chance of feeling like comfort, not compromise. You've earned the right to define what partnership looks like at this stage. Let it be shaped by your present self, not your past roles. Because when love honors who you are now, not who you used to be, that's when it becomes a gift, not a responsibility. 3. Blended families and the hidden friction they bring. On the surface, remarriage in your 70s or 80s might seem like a decision between two consenting adults. But underneath that simplicity lies a more complex reality. Because it's rarely just the two of you involved. Most of the time, there are children, grandchildren, siblings, longtime friends, and even the memory of a beloved late spouse all orbiting your new relationship. And whether it's spoken out loud or not, their presence can quietly shape the path ahead in unexpected ways. One of the biggest emotional blind spots in later life remarriage is underestimating how family dynamics will shift. Adult children might seem supportive at first, saying all the right things. But over time, you may notice their phone calls taper off, their visits feel shorter, or their tone becomes subtly colder. It's not always jealousy. It's often confusion, fear, or even grief. They may worry that you're replacing someone they still miss, or that this new relationship threatens family traditions, memories, or even inheritance. I recall a man named Walter, 79, who remarried after losing his wife of 50 years. His new partner was kind and thoughtful, and they were genuinely happy together, but Walter's grown children were distant. At first, he thought it was just a phase, until his daughter finally admitted she didn't know where she stood in his new life. She felt like an outsider in her own family, not because of the woman he married, but because he never made room for her feelings in the process. It's not just emotional tension either. The blending of families at this age often includes the blending of finances, wills, trusts, properties, and retirement funds. If you don't communicate clearly and plan legally, it can lead to misunderstandings that cut far deeper than hurt feelings. Resentment can build, even among the closest knit families, when people feel excluded, replaced, or blindsided. That's why open dialogue is essential. Before remarrying, talk to your children, not to ask for permission, but to create clarity. Let them know what your plans are. Reassure them where you can, especially about your love and commitment to family. And if you're updating your estate, do so with transparency and legal guidance. Surprises may feel romantic in movies, but in real life, they rarely go well, especially when it comes to money or legacy. You are still entitled to your happiness, but your happiness doesn't have to come at the cost of confusion or conflict within your family. When you involve your loved ones with honesty, dignity, and grace, you don't just build a new relationship, you preserve the old ones too. And in your later years, that harmony matters more than ever. 4. The caregiving role no one plans for. At this stage of life, the idea of falling in love again often brings warm images to mind. Someone to enjoy morning walks with, to share quiet dinners, to hold hands during a movie. And while that's very real and very possible, there's another side of the story that many seniors don't talk about until they're already living it: caregiving. When you're in your 70s or 80s, remarriage isn't just about companionship. It's also a quiet contract, one that may involve becoming someone's nurse, driver, memory keeper, or advocate. The romantic walks can turn into doctor's visits, the peaceful evenings into managing medications, and even though these changes often come slowly, they carry weight, physically, emotionally, and financially. What many people don't realize is that caregiving isn't just an act of love. It's a life-altering responsibility, and it can happen unexpectedly. One partner gets diagnosed with early-stage dementia. Another needs help after a fall. Suddenly, instead of enjoying your golden years together, one of you is shouldering the needs of two people, and neither of you were fully prepared. I remember meeting a woman named Rose, 81, who remarried at 77. Her husband was vibrant, independent, and full of humor, but within 2 years, his health declined rapidly. Rose went from a joyful newlywed to a full-time caregiver, helping with everything from daily hygiene to coordinating treatments. She loved him, but she also confessed, "I thought I was signing up for companionship, not this." There's no shame in admitting that caregiving is hard. It's not about love or loyalty. It's about energy. The energy required to lift someone, remember every pill, or stay calm when confusion strikes. And when you're older yourself, that energy is already in limited supply. That's why conversations about health should never be avoided before marriage. What plans do you have in place if one of you becomes ill? Is there a long-term care strategy? Do you both agree on the kind of support you'd be willing to give or receive? These aren't romantic questions, but they are responsible ones. And asking them early doesn't ruin the magic, it preserves it. Because when you talk about the hard things, you build a foundation that can actually carry the weight of real life. You remove assumptions, you prevent resentment, and you give each other the gift of realistic expectations. Love at this age isn't just about finding someone to walk beside you. It's about finding someone who will sit with you during the hard moments too, and knowing ahead of time what that truly means. 5. The importance of healing before you begin again. Loneliness in your 70s or 80s doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it creeps in as silence at the dinner table. Sometimes it's the way no one calls after 6 p.m. or how the bed feels too big, even after years of sleeping alone. In that space, it's natural to reach for connection, to crave conversation, touch, even just the comfort of another human breathing beside you. But here's a gentle truth. If you haven't made peace with your past, remarriage may not give you the future you're hoping for. Too many people walk into a second or third marriage not out of readiness, but out of ache. They're grieving a loss, trying to fill a gap, or believing, sometimes desperately, that a new person will erase the pain of what's already happened. And while love can be healing, it can't be used to avoid healing. When it is, the relationship often buckles under the weight of unspoken sorrow. You may carry grief from a spouse who passed. You may still feel the sting of a divorce that fractured your family. Or maybe, deep down, you still question your worthiness to be loved again. These emotional weights don't disappear when a new partner enters the room. They come along for the ride, and if you're not aware of them, they can slowly pull the relationship into a place neither of you intended to go. I once met a man named Eugene, 83, who had remarried a kind and patient woman just 2 years after losing his wife of 50 years. From the outside, they looked happy, but inside, Eugene hadn't let go. He still wore his late wife's wedding ring around his neck. Her pictures stayed on every wall, and at night, he still whispered her name before falling asleep. His new wife didn't try to change that, but over time, she felt like a guest in a life that had no space for her. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means giving your past the dignity it deserves, while creating room in your heart for something new. That takes time. It takes reflection. Sometimes it takes therapy, and always it takes honesty. Ask yourself, am I looking to build something new or to fix something old? Do I want this new relationship because I'm full or because I'm empty? Can I look my future partner in the eyes and say, I'm here with you, without still being tied to someone who is no longer here? When you enter a new marriage from a place of wholeness, not perfection, but wholeness, you give that relationship the best possible chance to thrive. You don't need your partner to complete you. You're simply inviting them to walk beside you, because love after 70 isn't about rewriting the past. It's about writing a new chapter with the wisdom and care your story deserves. Let healing be your first commitment. Before rings, before vows, before anything else. It's not selfish, it's sacred, and your heart, after all it's been through, deserves nothing less. Conclusion: remarrying with clarity, not just hope. As we bring this journey to a close, I want you to pause, not with fear, but with quiet strength, and ask yourself, am I truly ready to marry again? Or am I simply ready to not be alone? There's a difference, a big one. Remarriage in your 70s or beyond isn't about repeating what you've done before. It's about redefining what partnership means in a life already lived. You're not 30 anymore. You're not building a foundation from scratch. You're protecting what you've built, your home, your heart, your peace. And that means decisions now carry a different kind of weight. You've heard 5 truths today. The legal and financial realities that can't be ignored. The emotional shifts that deserve to be named. The family dynamics that need to be acknowledged. The caregiving roles that quietly shape your future. And the healing that must come before beginning again. These aren't obstacles to love. They are doorways to deeper, wiser love. The kind that doesn't just sweep you off your feet, but walks beside you, respectfully, day after day. If you're considering remarriage, I hope this hasn't discouraged you. I hope it's empowered you, because you deserve a love that enhances your life, not complicates it. One that honors your past, aligns with your present, and supports the version of you that has grown, endured, and evolved. Before you say, "I do" again, say, "I understand," not just to your partner, but to yourself. Understand what's at stake. Understand what you need. Understand that your happiness now is not a chance. It's a choice. Choose clarity over rush. Choose peace over pressure. Choose yourself before choosing someone else. And when you do, say yes again. If and when you do, may it be a yes that comes not from emptiness, but from overflow. Because love in your later years isn't a last chance. It's a new kind of beginning. Thank you for spending this time with us. If this message gave you something to think about, share it. Talk to someone. Reflect. And most of all, trust yourself. You've come this far. You already know what matters. Let that wisdom guide the love that comes next.